Hey, accredited investor, I'm so pumped to tell you about this brick, beautiful property that we just got. It's 166 units, solid brick building, almost 100% occupied. There's 2 vacancies right now out of 166 units. The only reason we got this is because the sellers took out one of those crazy loans 2 years ago and their loan is expiring. Otherwise, they would have been able to keep this building for the long haul, but we're stepping in at the perfect time to swoop up and grab this building. It's presently rented 15% below market rate rents. I have the comps inside the actual property to prove that too. All you have to do to learn more is go to homeinvest.com and click on one of the invest buttons, or you can look down in the description of this podcast wherever you're seeing it, and you can see the link in the podcast description. Now, always consult with a tax advisor, a financial planner, or attorney before making investment decisions. Having said all that, all you have to do to learn more is go to homeinvest.com or click on the link down in the description below. Thanks, and looking forward to partnering with you.
If you are trying to figure out how to get started in real estate investing, or if you are looking to buy a 3 or 4 unit building, this is going to be the show that you want to listen to. There's a lot of changes going on in the market right now, as well as the laws governing those. And we're going to jump into it on today's episode of Purpose Driven Passive Profits. If you're new to the show, his name is Nate Armstrong. He's the founder and CEO of Home Invest, an Inc. 500 real estate investment company. My name's Steve Warner, and I am here as your Chief Investment Officer. And today we are going to be jumping into some big changes that are shaking up the real estate investment market. These are due to the economy, kind of the recession that we're in, but these are a huge plus if you are looking to get into investment property. And it's the change, first off, that instead of needing 20% down to buy a 3-unit, 4-unit, or duplex, you only need 5% down. This is going to open up the investment market for a lot of people, maybe to buy their 2nd, 3rd, 4th property, but there are a few things that you need to know. Nate, what do you think about them changing the down payment amount? This is a pretty big deal.
Yeah, this is an obvious sign that they're trying to pump blood back into a very stale market right now. So whenever the government gets involved to start manipulating things, we all know the last mass scale time that the government got involved was to put a Band-Aid on foreclosures during COVID. So anytime that you know that the government's stepping up and trying to push things and influence things, it's because there's some kind of problem that they're trying to overcome. So let's see where this goes.
Yeah, I mean, it's so interesting to me. Like, we're going to control inflation by raising interest rates, but then we still want you to buy stuff, so we're going to change the down payment amount. I mean, I think it's awesome. If I would have known, if this would have been around in 2002, 2003 when I got started, I wonder if I would have bought more properties. It's super interesting to me. There are a couple things that I feel like people need to watch out for, though, because I do think some people are going to try to sell at inflated amounts. And they're going to say, well, you don't need cash flow right now. When rates come down, you can refinance, you'll get better cash flow. What do you think the minimum cash flow per unit should be for people looking at like duplexes, triplexes, and 4 units?
Well, just kind of the rule of thumb, this is the general one if we had to put a blanket on all properties, because there's a very big difference between an A neighborhood and a C neighborhood. But as a blanket rule, Steve, I'm going to default to yours. You talk about this all the time. $400 minimum net cash flow per unit. If I'm not making $400, I'm going to walk away from it.
Yeah, I would say $400 per unit per month. And that's like, I feel like I know people that like they get excited about a property and they're looking at something and they like try to bend all of the numbers. You need to take a reasonable amount of rent. So you can use the Zestimate or you can use Rent-A-Meter, but figure out what the average rent is per square foot, not per duplex, not per 2-bedroom, but per square foot, and use that in your figuring. That's the first rule of thumb. And the second one is don't try to say like, oh, I'm gonna drop the rent to get in somebody fast, or I'm gonna raise the rent to make sure I get the best one. Just go with the average rent. The other thing that I think worries me right now is we're gonna see some people, I think, put units that need a lot of repair up. As a general rule of thumb, if you're buying something that needs repair, you're not going to be able to rent it out for a couple months. You're going to have to count on that. The other thing is you need a good way to figure out repair costs. Nate, when you got started, how did you figure out repair costs?
Well, so this is something that you're going to want to pay attention to. Okay. This is something that I've had the blessing now of learning for 20 years. But when I first started out, it was kind of like the trial and error game. I played the trial and error game and I got out there and I got experience. So, but if it's okay, Steve, I'd rather teach the real method that we've paid hundreds of thousands of dollars in renovation costs ourselves, millions at this point. Plus, we've hired some really smart people to come in and help us inside the business. Is it cool if we teach the good way?
Yeah, I think that's probably a really good idea.
Okay, so our group, Steve, myself, and our other folks in our group, we've literally done hundreds and hundreds of renovations. It's probably cresting 1,000 at this point. I've lost count. But what we did is we put all of them onto a spreadsheet and we crunched the numbers. We figured out what is our average cost per square foot of doing certain types of renovations. Now, not all renovations are created equal. There's definitely a difference between a carpet and paint kind of renovation versus a let's gut the kitchen, let's gut the bathrooms, let's do all this stuff. Those renovations are very different. But if I put them into three categories, a light renovation, a medium renovation, and a high renovation or a heavy renovation, if I just segregate them into the three categories, in the Midwest right now, we're able to achieve a pretty uniform pricing on a price per square foot model. So let's just take the easy one. Let's take the light renovation. You walk in and you recognize that the place just needs carpet and paint, or maybe it's hardwood floor sanding and paint, just flooring and paint. That can be done for $10 per square foot on our properties. So pretty simple math. If you got a 20 or 2,000 square foot property and you multiply it by 10, you got $20,000. So just ask yourself the question, do you think you could paint a place that's 2,000 square feet and put in new flooring for 20,000 bucks? Now, I know that might depend on the flooring type. If you're not talking about Italian marble here, we're talking about rental grade, durable quality stuff, but easily that can be done for $20,000, a light renovation. A medium, should we go into the medium?
Yeah, let's go through all three of them.
Okay, so this is something, if you really absorb this, it's going to help you a ton when you're estimating your renovations. A medium would be something that is light plus one big ticket item, such as a big ticket item could be a kitchen. It could be a new bathroom. It could be a new roof. Okay, a lot of properties that you walk into, they've got some big ticket item that needs to be done. So it's light plus one big ticket item. Medium renovations, we typically can get done for $20 per square foot. So if we use that same exact property we talked about, that's 2,000 square feet, we take 2,000 times the 20 bucks per square foot, and we figured out that we'd have a $40,000 renovation budget. And I can, even after all these inflated prices that are out there, I can easily get one big ticket item plus flooring plus paint done for $40,000 on a 2,000 square foot property. And then you got the third category, which is high. A high would be walking in and recognizing that there's two big ticket items, plus the flooring, plus the painting. And when you've got two big ticket items, we can generally do that in the high category at $30 per square foot. So if you take that same example, that 2,000 square foot house, and you multiply it by 30, you'd figure out that you've got a $60,000 renovation budget. I can usually get two big ticket items, a kitchen, a bathroom, maybe a roof, two big ticket items, plus the flooring, plus the painting. Now, there is a fourth category, and Steve, this is one that you nor I can really just ballpark as a blanket statement like this on a recording. That is when there is something that's really bad in the property, like severe mold damage or foundation problems, structural problems, asbestos, things like that, that we can't quite see. You can't just put a blanket number around it. For those, you're going to need to bring in a couple of contractors, a couple of good licensed contractors, and let them put their eyes on it. Get an actual bid from them. That's the best way to estimate those bigger problem properties.
I mean, my thoughts on that, you honestly should stay away from. There are plenty of properties out there that need a light or medium rehab. You don't want to go past that, especially for your first couple properties. Your first couple properties, just get into them, get them cash flowing well, get some equity building. Like that's the goal. Not to get into a big renovation project, because chances are it's going to go longer than you think. It might end up going a little bit more expensive than you think. And it's the whole point of investing in real estate is to build cash flow upfront as fast as possible. And there are plenty of properties out there. So just so you guys understand, this change in the law is huge. It's going to allow a lot of people to get into rental properties, which is amazing. It's going to help you retire faster, retire younger, as long as you do it the smart way. If you are looking, go ahead, Nate. What do you got?
I was just looking at the actual limits. Like these are big jumps. The government doesn't change these things very often. This is an obvious sign that they're trying to breathe life into a stalled out housing market. For 4-unit buildings now for 2024, they're going to let the high cost area 4-unit buildings have loan amounts up to $2.2 million. $2.2 million. It was like 1.5 before this. For 3-unit buildings, 1.7. For 2 units, 1.4 million, and for single family houses, $1.1 million. That is a massive, massive jump.
Yeah, that's gonna, I mean, that frees up so much in the market, and it incentivizes investors, which are the people with cash. They're trying to figure out how to get people to come in and buy things outside of their primary residence, which is, it is a really nice incentive for people. So when you're using this, use the 2 things that we taught you here to your advantage. If you do want to invest passively with us, you'll get a very similar return, up to 18% internal rate of return, plus a 1.7 to 1.8x multiple on your money, and we'll do everything for you. If you're interested in that, you can go to homeinvest.com. That will give you all the information on our current deals, as well as allowing you to book a call with myself or Sue, our head advisor. Till next time, you want to invest in a way that makes you a good steward. Go out there and start looking at properties, because you now have access to them a whole lot cheaper than you used to, at least when it comes to the down payment. And we'll see you here on Purpose Driven Passive Profits.